Hi, Taurus. Welcome to your July 2018 Astro Update. It's Raina here, and July is one of those pivotal months, I guess you could call it, for all of us because we have eclipses. And for you, the first one in Cancer will be at a friendly angle called a sextile. And this will affect your third house. And that is a mental house. That's the house that Gemini rules in the universal chart. And it deals with the internet, and it deals with matters connected to your siblings and your cousins and your local area. There's isn't that kind of strange? Like all these things, they don't seem like they're connected, and yet they're part of the same house. Teaching and learning, public speaking is the third house. I mean, that's mental, but then you get into siblings and you're like, what? What does that have to do with anything? But let me just talk about coming into July, because coming into the month, there is going to be the sun in that house that I just talked about, the third house. The sun is in Cancer, and so this feels good to you because Cancer is 60 degrees apart from you. It is a nice angle, and so things flow very nicely when you have Cancer in a particular sign. And this makes you, as a Taurian, kind of cerebral, maybe very talkative, more so than you normally are, interested in a particular course of studies or something that you want to get involved with. Maybe you're like consumed by something related to a writing project or social media project. Who knows? I mean, the sky's the limit with that. But in any case, while that is occurring, Venus is in your fourth house of home and family. And this can be really good for anybody out there who is profiting from the sale of real estate. Maybe you're selling your home. Maybe you want to buy a home and you need the money for it. Venus can bring money to the house that she travels through. So doing my math, I have to think that some of you may benefit from real estate or get the money to be able to afford a particular, like a down payment on a house or something like that. Or you may simply be not renovating your house so much as decorating it. So it's not this, intense kind of change, but it might just be gussying it up a little bit. Venus in the fourth house can bring harmony between you and your mother, or just in general, your family of origin. There's that sense of ease, a sense of well-being that Venus can influence, the influence of Venus in that area. And then on the 9th, Venus goes into the fifth house of romance. And Venus and the fifth house get together like what can I say? Like peanut butter and jelly. I don't know. Because the fifth house is the house of love, the falling in love stage and romance in general. It's also the house of art or creativity. And Venus is the goddess of love and beauty and is connected to artistic creations and endeavors. So that can be very beneficial for Taurians who are single and looking. Now, you are ruled by Venus, so that makes it even more significant. And this is a friendly angle as well because Virgo is an earth sign, and so this trines you. So that's very nice, and I think that you're going to like that particular transit. Also, the fifth house is about parties and fun, and you might meet somebody at a party, like a love interest at a party, You might just be socializing a lot more, enjoying yourself, maybe going to concerts, and having a grand old time. The very next day, Jupiter turns direct. And this is in your opposite sign, Scorpio, which is so intense. This is happening on the 10th, and Jupiter goes direct at 13 degrees of Scorpio. So this is significant because Jupiter has been retrograding for months now. And this has been opposing your sun or rising sign. So now that Jupiter is direct, you may find that there is this forward movement when it comes to maybe finding your soulmate. I don't know, because Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion. And the 7th house where Jupiter is transiting is the house of partnership. So Jupiter gives more opportunities to meet a potential mate. Likewise, Jupiter in the 7th house can make it so that you are experiencing more clients if you work for yourself, for instance. So it can be very lucrative financially for you to have Jupiter in the 7th house because, and even, I guess it doesn't even matter if you're working for yourself. If you have the kind of job that you have clients, even if you're working for somebody else, then this may really benefit you as well. And then a couple days after this, we have that solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Cancer. And this for you is falling in that 3rd house of communication, Taurus. And so solar eclipses are chances of new seeds being planted in the area of teaching and learning, writing, communicating, things like that. So you may have a lot of ideas about online stuff that you'd like to do. Maybe you want to launch a website, Facebook, Instagram that connects to an online business. Maybe you have a novel that you are trying to get off the ground. Solar eclipses are powerful new moons. I hope I didn't just say that. Sometimes I say things and I forget like 10 seconds later I said it. So that can bring new opportunities in this particular area of life. The only thing to keep in mind is that Mars is retrograde at this point, and Mercury will be retrograding at the end of the month. So any launches that you have, I would just say if it feels right, then go for it. Just make sure that you understand when Mars is retrograding, it can seem like it takes more effort to do things. They say don't launch during Mars retrograde. Mars will be direct at the end of August. That's up to you. And so that's happening. And then the sun goes into Leo on the 22nd. Now this is going to be that 4th house that we were talking about, that Venus has just been in. So, yeah, I mean, you may be putting a lot of emphasis on some real estate matter at this time. This can simply be a nesting influence where you feel the urge to just be a homebody for a while and just chill at home. Because you've been doing so much socializing, you may have been out and about quite a bit. And then on the 25th, Mercury turns retrograde, and it's going to be in this house. So if you are doing anything where you're selling a house, if there's any kind of contracts, Mercury rules contracts. Be very careful if there's a deal that needs to go down during the Mercury retrograde. And that will be until, I don't know exactly when in August, but Mercury retrogrades are about 3.5 weeks. So we're probably talking about mid-August. If you need to get anything taken care of in terms of a contract and you can't wait until mid-August, then just reread the contract several times to make sure you've seen everything that you need to see. Mercury retrograde can also bring back some issue regarding family. Maybe you hear from a family member that you haven't been in contact with for a very long time. And this could include a mother, by the way. And as I said, Venus has already traveled through this house. So maybe Venus has softened up a relationship within your family of origin, and now you can actually talk to them on the phone. It could be that you have some kind of misunderstanding between you and your mother, or there's something connected to real estate where there's a snafu. Just realize that this too shall pass, and you'll get it sorted out eventually. And then the lunar eclipse happening on either the 27th or 28th, depending on where you live in the world, and this is at 4 degrees of Aquarius. And Taurus, this is your 10th house of career. So lunar eclipse, if we think about a full moon, and this being a powerful full moon, this could be some culmination of your career, work that you've done that gives you this kind of either grand finale or just pushes you to a position of prominence. There's always the possibility of endings as well. You know, we're always talking about more than one concept when we're talking about new moons and full moons, lunar and solar eclipses. So maybe you're retiring and this is your grand finale of whatever your career was. Or maybe you have come to the apex of your career or one pinnacle of your career. And the 10th house is your place in the world. So other people may take notice of what you have accomplished thus far. And that could be a time of recognition, in other words. Anything that is not working for you may be eclipsed out of your life career-wise. And I couldn't possibly say how that would transpire for you. And remember, too, that this will depend upon your degree of sun or rising, because all of these transits are dependent on that. So the timing and the houses are not necessarily going to be what is true for you. But in general, if this does fall in your 10th house, realize that it was meant to be, because eclipse energy has this connection to destiny attached to it. And therefore, also the north and south nodes are connected to eclipses and, tied up into them as well. And the same thing applies, where the north node is kind of the sense of what needs to happen, as part of your evolutionary journey through this lifetime. So, yeah, like I said, there's a lot going on in July, and I hope that you enjoyed this, Taurus. I hope you have a wonderful month. If you like this type of reading, and you'd like me to kind of go and look at the trends that are happening in your life, especially those long-term trends like Pluto, like what house is your Pluto in, and what's it doing there? How, what about Saturn? They're both in Capricorn. So those are two heavy planets. How are they impacting your life? So, for instance, sometimes I bring up Saturn and Pluto. I don't do that in every astrological reading. But the thing is, if you're watching for Taurus Sun, your rising sign determines your house placements for your natal chart. So it could be totally different about where these planets are transiting. And some of these things, like for instance, Pluto is a 15-year transit. So it's parking itself in one area of your life for a long period of time. And even Saturn is like 2.5-year transit. Jupiter, 13 months this time in Scorpio. So it's it can be very interesting to see like what's going on for you personally, and same with looking at your own personality traits. They're not dependent on transits. They're just stationary in your chart that never move, and determine who you are. I guess there were transits on the day you were born, but you know what I mean. So if you're interested, I'm going to provide the link below for that type of reading. And again, good luck to you in July. Bye.